Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, not only thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief, but also Polar Vortex 9, which we will talk about in just a few moments. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. This is live stream number 1152. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. We're certainly not engaged in anything along the lines of rocket surgery or such. No, we're just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then I will normally, at least this month, share a first look at an upcoming game, a game that's just recently come out. You never know. Could be a board game, could be a tabletop role-playing game. Well, it is a War Game Wednesday. So tonight, we're going to dive on in and take a first look at Congress of Vienna from my friends over at GMT Games. Yes, this is based on the Churchill design from Mark Herman. Yeah, I almost said Mark H. Walker, my buddy over at Flying Pig Games. No, it's Mark Herman. But he is not the designer of this. This is based on his design. But you may recall, if you were watching last night, I had mentioned that this sort of looked a little bit like Churchill. And it turns out it is actually built on that game design. So I was right, I guess. Anywho, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. It is not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 10 minutes, 10 whole minutes, in order to take part in chat. But if you check both those boxes and want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, fire away. I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Sean O'Donnell. We also have Semper Buffo, Pete's Draculich, and W. Forge with us this evening. I wouldn't be surprised if the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is lurking in the shadows as one of our chat moderators tonight. So welcome aboard, everybody. I figured it's going to be a little quieter in chat tonight, seeing it is a board game unboxing. It's a diplomatic war game title. I don't think this is like straight out war game. I believe there's a lot of diplomacy that's going on in this game. But it's not a role-playing game, which, at least with the live streams, tends to bring more people in. So I see we got some bug floating around in here. It just zipped right past the lens. So I wonder if people saw like a blur just go past, because it looked like it was fairly close to the lens there. Always love it. It's, winter here. We just got snow, not as much snow as people were expecting, thankfully. But still, and then I come down here to the Duct Tape Studios and there's spiders, there's flying bugs. Like, God, it's not that warm down here. I'm a little chilly myself. All righty then. So let's talk about our sponsor, because coming this Friday is a Polar Vortex 9. Yes, that's right. The 14th through the 16th. Take a break from the cold by gathering with friends and family to enjoy the warmth and fun of playing games together at Polar Vortex 9, Chicagoland's favorite local winter gaming convention. The Polar Vortex team and I invite you to join us at the Sheridan Lyle Naperville Hotel, once again, February 14th through the 16th. Polar Vortex grew out of a desire to create a general tabletop gaming convention in the Chicago region that gaming hobbyists and the general public could enjoy. We also want to support local game retailers and publishers and also give back to the general community. At Polar Vortex 9, you're going to find such things as the Play and Win, the Catan National Qualifier, Dungeons & Dragons Adventurers League, Pathfinder Society, Starfinder Society, Shadow Dark, Dragonbane, Dungeon Crawl Classics. There's the Endlords of the Toxic Wastelands, Mothership. There is a Crokinole tournament, a Bolt Action tournament, a Star Wars Legion tournament, as well as a Gaslands tournament. As I mentioned previously, Elliot and I are playing in a Gaslands game. I don't know if it's a tournament or not. You've also got a board game library, game demos, painting seminars, vendors, crafters, and artists, and a whole lot more that I am leaving out. You can even celebrate Valentine's Day on Friday night with a special semi-private event where couples, singles, friends, and even 6 kobolds in trench coats can enjoy a variety of 2-player games while indulging in a build-your-own Sunday bar. And the Polar Vortex team's excited to offer another fun convention experience packed with a range of activities. If you want to learn more, you've only got a couple of days to do so. Swing on over to polarvortex.games. If you'd like to register for the convention, be sure to pop on over to tabletop.events. As I've already mentioned, Elliot Miller, my best friend, and my brother Greg are going to be hanging out with me. I am going to be flying solo on Friday. So if you happen to see me roaming around, say hello. You can say hello to me on other days too. You know, it's not like you have to see me alone to say hello to me, but just pointing that out. Pete Strakulich points out that Trollord Games has a Castles and Crusades starter box set for pre-order right now. The collector's edition is signed. There will only be 125 units made. Now they're down to like 20-something. I gotta be honest, I was not familiar with their starter box set. So, I don't know. I have no clue. Unless it's, it's a box set with the 2 main books in it. I don't know. I'll have to take a peek. It's not something that I was made aware of by Trollord Games. That I can tell you for certain. All righty then. Tessie Trekkies popping on in. Howdy. All right, let's jump on into the news because there's a new board game which is up on Kickstarter for Rock Manor Games. And here's the scoop on Star-Driven Gateway. Star-Driven Gateway is an epic starship simulation game for 1 to 4 players, appropriate for ages 10 and up, running around 30 minutes per player. Decide where to assign your crew, what ship stations to activate, what sectors to explore, which missions to complete, and who on your ship deserves promotion as you turn the tide of galactic conflict. This is the foremost starship simulator game with full autonomy over a single ship. Everything you do on or with your ship on this galactic adventure is controlled by your tableau. You'll find unique starship factions with asymmetric powers and crew decks, tactical strategy across a variety of scenarios, each with unique scoring goals, beautiful artwork by comic book artist Sam Beck, as well as deluxe components and a Kickstarter discount. Drawing inspiration from Star Trek, Firefly, Stargate, Battlestar Galactica, Faster Than Life, Mass Effect, and everything in between, Star-Driven is set in a unique science fiction future where interstellar gravity drives create vast amounts of excess power when used to travel across space. While this energy abundance has created unity amongst different alien species, 4 different factions are vying for control of an ancient and mysterious gateway. A la The Expanse. There is a short Kickstarter video, so let's take a peek.
Captain, a shocking discovery promises to change civilization forever. An ancient gateway left behind by highly advanced aliens. Whoever commands that gateway will gain exclusive access to unfathomable secrets. Whether you fly for the United Worlds, Privateers, the Travelers Guild, or the Synth Network, your objective is the same: to gain favor with the Council world so that you may gain access to the Gateway's technology. To achieve this, you will embark on various episodes. While some episodes are competitive, others are cooperative or solo. Assign crew members to your ship stations. Place your dice strategically to activate stations and perform actions. Explore new systems. Navigate the map. Fight enemies. Rest. And more. Complete away missions by assigning the crew with the right skills for the job. Crew management is key. Recruit new hires from a pool of highly trained freelancers. Assign them to a station and offer promotions. If you encounter a dangerous anomaly, don't worry. Every experience is a boon in disguise, to be spent when you need it later. And if you're brave enough, you can jump ship through the gateway for incredible rewards. Council needs your help defending the gateway. Good luck, Captain.
The Kickstarter project for Star-Driven Gateway is well past the 400% funding mark. You can reserve a copy of the game, including Kickstarter bonuses, for a $65 pledge through March 8th. Expected delivery is January of next year. I thought this looked pretty cool. I thought this looked pretty interesting. And Rock Manor Games does do some pretty cool games out there. I know I've reviewed a couple of them over time. I know they're also really well known for, I think it's called Set the Watch, which is a fantasy game. I've never had an opportunity to take a peek at it, but there's actually a lot out there for it. So I have also heard some good things about it as well. To my understanding, Star-Driven is a new series of games. So this is not going to be the only game which is going to have a Star-Driven name. So this is Star-Driven Gateway, and I think there are 2 other Star-Driven games on the horizon. All right, let's talk about some role-playing game news, because now available in print and PDF from Gnomebot Studios is Grit Fantasy. Here's what I know. Grit Fantasy is a rules light system that is perfect for one-shots, short campaigns, and convention games. The core rules are simple and easy to manage so that you can spend your time playing without the need for constant rules checking. Grit can be learned in a matter of minutes and is great for players of any level of experience. Kids will love playing it too. If you're looking for a solid, streamlined tabletop role-playing game, Grit Fantasy RPG is for you. As far as the core rules, it's utilizing a single D12 as far as the primary die. There are static and opposed rolls. A static roll must exceed one of 4 target numbers. An opposed roll must exceed the roll of the adversary. Characters have 5 stats called aspects. Each time the primary die is rolled, an aspect value is added to it. Each player has 3 focus dice, which are used to boost rolls. Focus dice are discarded from the game after use. Combat follows a fluid turn order where the players and game master decide together who should act as each round progresses. Each combatant gets to take one action or reaction per round. Damage is calculated by determining the difference between a roll and a target number, static, or the opponent's roll, opposed. Armor and shield simply reduce incoming damage. And there are 3 distances in the game: melee, short, and long. And there is a whole lot more info about Grit Fantasy that I am leaving out. Otherwise, I'd be sitting here talking about this for about 10 minutes. No joke. The 138-page hardcover with PDF can be had over at Drive-Thru RPG for $24.99. If you want to just snag the PDF alone, you can do so for $9.99. And I should mention, look who's got a copy of Grit Fantasy RPG in soft cover, which I think is $19.99 with PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG. So we are going to be taking a look at this because it does sound pretty interesting. I will have to say that there are a lot of really cool looking independent role-playing games that have hit recently that I had to chuckle, that utilize some of the aspects of the fantasy role-playing game that we've been building on the show. And I'm like, sweet, I'm not the only one who thinks that's a cool idea. So, very nice. Very nice. So we will be taking a look at Grit Fantasy RPG maybe next week. If not next week, then the week after that. I've got a lot of goodies on the way to me. So I think I want to say off the top of my head, I've got 4 Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Oh, whoops. Cubicle 7 Games releases heading my way. They are in transit as I speak. So we're going to be diving on into some of those. I should also mention, I will be sharing other videos, probably first look videos that are just standalone. So it's not as if you're only going to see first looks here during the month of February on the live show. Pete Straklich says, hey, I heard about this. Definitely would like to check it out. GleemanRx is popped on in, as has Kathy Evans into chat. And GleemanRx says, geneticists were asked to make mushrooms that contained extra calcium content. They gave us angry mushmen with teeth. Moving right along. As I had mentioned last week, we have a slew of Hero Games bundles going on over at Bundle of Holding. Let's talk about the third one. It is the Champions 4E Universe bundle. And I've got the deets on the deal. Hero, look sharp. This revived April 2017 Champions 4E Universe bundle is the second of 2 offers that give you a new chance to get the complete Champions 4th edition line, which ran from 1989 through about 2001, of tabletop superhero role-playing action from Hero Games. If you haven't already bought the revived Champions 4E Essentials offer, that's where you want to start. And then come back here, because for just $17.95, you'll get all 19 titles in this revived offers starter collection, which have a retail value of $98.50 as DRM-free ebooks, including 5 enemies books of supervillains, 10 adventures, and the highly regarded San Angelo City of Heroes line from Gold Rush Games. And if you pay more than the current threshold price of $35.56, which may have changed by a few cents since I wrote all this out, you'll level up and also get this Revival's entire bonus collection with 18 more titles worth an additional $110, including 9 Dark Champions books, 2 collections of heroic adventures, Kingdom of Champions, and other location books, Foxbat Unhinged, and Champions in 3D, the dimension roaming campaign book that holds pride of place in every hero fan's trophy room. Together, the 2 revived offers will give you the entire Champions 4th edition line. These savings will run through February 24th. So if you've ever been curious about what most people consider to be the finest edition of Champions, or at least maybe we would say the edition that has the most content of Champions, which is 4th edition, you can check it all out on the cheap. I think both of the bundles together total about $71, $72. And you're looking at, I think it's 67 PDFs. Not bad at all. Very cool. All right, moving right along. There are 2 interesting looking supplements for the Painted Wastelands role-playing game setting, which are currently up on Kickstarter. I've got the skinny from Agamemnon Press. Greetings, lost dreamers. We have wandered through strange lands and huffed the peculiar ectoplasmic smoke from the pipes of pilgrims. Tim Malloy and Chris Willett stumbled free from the outer reaches of the dreamlands and brought you something truly strange and new for old school essentials. The Painted Wastelands returns with its first zine. Strange Tales of the Painted Wastelands is a bizarre adventure by John Leby, bringing new locations that referees can deposit anywhere in their campaign. Explore the dimensional tourist trap of Zurich Point, visit the Orbit and Go, and stay the night at the Marooners Campground, all of which are filled with new and strange NPCs to interact with. This Kickstarter also brings the Painted Wastelands Player's Guide to print. This is a player-facing book designed to give players the tools they need to jump into the Painted Wastelands. This is an enticing and handsome book designed to get players excited to jump into any Painted Wastelands campaign without spoiling anything. The supplement includes some reprinted material from the Painted Wastelands, as well as original material. And the book comes with rules for 3 new races, 3 classes, the Cat, Honoromancer, and the all-new Nightmare Slayer. Honoromancer spells, I know I'm mispronouncing that, new lore, new faiths, new equipment, and new vehicles. New. That was me. I was just throwing that in there. Get your players excited to dive right on into the Painted Wastelands. This Kickstarter project is over 2,900% funded. You heard that right. 2,900% funded. Now, granted, it had a goal of $1,000, but 2,900%. You can reserve copies of both soft covers with PDFs for a $30 pledge. And I do believe the player's guide is more of a traditional, like 8.5 by 11 or whatever soft cover, whereas the Strange Tales of the Painted Wastelands is a traditional zine size. I think they're both saddle stitched, if I remember correctly. Regardless, you can get physical copies for a $30 pledge. If you want to just score the PDFs, you can do that for a $16 pledge. Through March 1st, turnaround on this is pretty fast. Expected delivery is this August. I do remember sharing a news piece about the Painted Wastelands because the artwork is very, very reminiscent of Mobius. And I really dig it. I think the artwork is awesome that I have seen for the Painted Wasteland. And I have heard through the grapevine that this is a really interesting setting as well. So I would say maybe it gives off, at least taking a look at the images, kind of gives off a little bit of a ultraviolet grasslands and the Black City vibe. So maybe this is kind of that, sort of gonzo, weird science fiction fantasy sort of setting built for old school essentials. There we go. There we go. W Forge mentions that 4th edition hero system is the best. And Monty Cook Games has an anti-tariff sale going on where all their physical copies of their games are 25% off. Well, well, well. Very nice, very nice. On to our final news piece. The latest issue of Star Frontiersman is now available in PDF. And here's a lowdown on Volume 2, issue number 33 from Frontier Games and Publishing. Star Frontiersman Volume 2 brings new content to the Star Frontiers community, supporting play, community, and the Star Frontiers revival. In this issue, you'll have a one-shot adventure, deck plans, and a new look at Tangler technology, and more from the Devil's Triangle files. Inside every issue, you'll find equipment, critters, adversaries, adventures, role-playing game advice, and links to resources and products that support old-school science fiction role-playing game gaming. Strap in and prepare to blast off to the frontiers of adventure. To the frontiers of adventure. With the Star Frontiersman Volume 2. The 98-page zine, to my knowledge, this issue is focusing on Nighthawks, which I never looked at. I've never seen it. I do understand what it is, but never seen it. I was never a big Star Frontiers guy. I picked up the box set when it originally came out. I thought it was fine, but I think right about the same time, I was also picking up Space Opera from Fantasy Games Unlimited, and I actually dug that more than Star Frontiers, although, of course, production quality was night and day there. Anywho, the 98-page zine is available in PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG, absolutely free. Yes. W. Forge says, it's a shame Wizards of the Coast put a kibosh on the remastered Star Frontiers line. Yes. Chris Lundgren and his cockatiel buddy are joining us in chat. Welcome aboard. So if I remember correctly, and I might be wrong, because it's not as if I don't misremember things, but I could have swore that Star Frontiersman had been, it was either free or a pay what you want. And it was available. And then I thought Wizards of the Coast shut it down, even though it wasn't really stepping on too many toes as far as Star Frontiers. And I think it was because, and I'll take a guess, maybe W. Forge can shine a little light on this. I thought there had been a little whispering through the ether that Wizards of the Coast had been considering maybe relaunching Star Frontiers. But I guess Wizards of the Coast has kind of been like, I guess we're not doing it. So it's okay. You can have your zine, your fan zine. It's no problem. So Roger Perdome is popping on in. Cleveland RX says, hey, Pete Strakolich, thanks for telling us about the Castles and Crusades starter kit. They just ordered the collector's edition. Now there's only 15 of them left. For some reason, there's like a little hair on the edge of my nose. Get off me! Get off me! Chris Lundgren says, there used to be a fan website back in the day. I would think there's probably a few as far as Star Frontiers. weren't there some Star Frontiers board games that TSR released? W. Ford says that was new TSR that wanted to remake Star Frontiers. Oh, okay. Uh-huh. I don't think new TSR is really still around. I don't know. I do realize that if I remember correctly, I think Ernie Gygax actually needs a heart transplant. So all the best to him and his health, but I would think in a situation like that. Although I got to be honest, I don't know how much Ernie Gygax was really involved with the TSR because they were like competing, like dueling banjo TSRs that were trying to reemerge. I was like, okay. Roger Perdome says they've still got their original box in Alpha Dawn for Star Frontiers. Haven't played it in 20 years. Wow. Hey, at least it was 20 years ago. You played it in the 21st century, so that's cool. Very nice. So, of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit Drive-Thru RPG, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, what have you, then by all means, please stop by thegaminggang.com. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. And I know I have had people email me saying, why do you say nickels, dimes, and quarters? That is what I get off of purchases. So it's not like I'm like, oh, whoa, $20. But it all adds up. And I say it all the time. Those nickels, dimes, and quarters add up, and they actually pay for the hosting for thegaminggang.com, which is not cheapo $3 GoDaddy hosting. I don't even think GoDaddy probably has $3 hosting anymore. It's probably $10, which is like their bottom of the barrel. Nope. Can't have over 1 million unique visitors year in, year out on no GoDaddy cheapo hosting. Trust me, I know. I worked for GoDaddy way back in the day when it was actually a pretty cool company to work with. When they first started doing those Super Bowl ads that would get banned, I was there. I had nothing to do with the ads. But yes, I was there at that moment in time with the company. So, yeah, they actually took really good care of their employees, which was a shocker because that was not something that happened in Phoenix, Arizona. Not a great place to work. Anyway, Pete Strakowicz says, yes, they picked one up 2 of the collector's editions of the starter set. Yeah, well, I'm not going to ask for one. I mean, that'd be stupid. You're like, yeah, hey, you guys could have, made money off this collector's edition. No, it's just going to sit with me now. Nope. Also, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Delish. And there are some folks out there this month who popped on by and made not small donations, such as our friends Joshua Edwards, Lisa Watkins, the Madman, and the person who donated the funds so that I could bring you first looks and reviews of Dungeon Crawl Classics Dark Tower, Original Adventures Reincarnated number 7. I don't think they really wanted to be revealed. So I do want to point out, if you make a donation over at good old paypal.me/thegaminggang, if you are somebody who watches the show and you don't include like your nickname in chat, I don't know. So if I just see someone's name, I just reveal their name. So I should say, if you do decide to make a donation over at paypal.me/thegaminggang, tell me who you are in chat. That way, and if you want me to reveal your name or not, because there are some folks who are like, hey, you don't need to mention me on the show. It's like, oh, okay. And then other people are like, yeah, I like hearing my name on the show. So there you go. There you have it. All righty. So we are going to be diving on in for a first look, an unboxing actually, of Congress of Vienna from GMT Games. We're going to be doing that in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
It's Elsie's winter treat. Whee! Oh, watch out, Beulah! Oh, that's Snowbank! Oh, too late. But Elsie says, come in and warm up with a cup of hot Borden's Dutch chocolate. Borden's, very big on flavor.
Borden's, very big on flavor, very big on goodness too, very big on pleasing you with the good things that Elsie brings to every one of you. So buy Borden's, very big on flavor.
When it's cold outside, nothing tastes so good as hot Borden's Dutch chocolate, made with real Dutch cocoa for the best chocolate flavor in the world. Ask your mom to get you Borden's Dutch chocolate.
So buy Borden's, very big on flavor.
Yipes, stripes, peach nuts got 'em. Yipes, stripes, new cherry stripe gum.
Yipes, stripes, peach nuts got 'em. Yipes, stripes, new grape stripe gum.
Me first. I'm here to announce new beech nut cherry stripe gum.
Me first. I'm here to announce new beech nut grape stripe gum.
Announcing new beech nut cherry stripe gum. By beech nut, by gum, by cherry stripe, by gum.
By grape stripe, by gosh.
Extra cherry flavor in it.
Extra grape flavor on it.
In every luscious stripe.
In every scrumptious stripe.
By cherry stripe,
By grape stripe.
by beech nut, by gum. More flavor to chew, more flavors to choose. The flavor starts lively, the flavor stays lively. By fruit stripe, by cherry stripe,
By grape stripe.
by gum. For the whole family, try new beech nut cherry stripe.
After new grape stripe. By gum.
Hello, grocery store? Send me some Wilkins instant coffee. How instant can you get?
Meet little Melvin. He's a 90-pound weakling. Everyone hated Melvin.
I'm gonna take this mop and shove it down your throat.
They teased him.
I'm gonna do it with you. Okay.
They taunted him. They tormented him until he had a horrifying accident and fell into a vat of nuclear waste, transforming little Melvin into a hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength. Melvin became the Toxic Avenger, the first superhero born out of nuclear waste.
Holy shit!
I don't know what it was, but it saved my life.
All right, everybody, drop your tacos or I'll blow your brains out.
The vandals and the perverts had their way with the little people of Tromaville until the Toxic Avenger ripped them apart. The Toxic Avenger. His face is so terrifying. We can't show it to you now. You'll have to see the movie for yourself. The Toxic Avenger can bend steel with his bare hands.
Oh, we're only kidding. Get it?
Leap small cars in a single bound. He crushes drug pushers. Smashes hit-and-run drivers. For incredible, explosive action, you must see the Toxic Avenger. He's a different kind of hero. The Toxic Avenger is coming to your town. Look out.
Nothing like some good old-fashioned family entertainment. Another confession I have to make. As I had mentioned yesterday, I've never seen Attack of the Killer Tomatoes outside of a couple of scenes here and there. Same goes for Toxic Avenger. Just never saw it. I got to be honest, I would probably enjoy it more than Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Funny enough, there was a reboot that was filmed with Peter Dinklage and I'm trying to remember who else. I mean, there's some stars in it. And Peter Dinklage is actually the Toxic Avenger. And they have shown it at some film festivals and people have loved it. But according to the powers that be, they said the film is unreleasable. So you will probably never actually have an opportunity to see it on, streaming or anything like that, which I think is really weird. Because I would think out of anything out there, I think you could find someplace to stream that. Shudder? I don't know. I mean, look at some of the shit that's out there. It's like, you watch it and you're like, oh my God, how did they get financing to make this? Pete Draculid says, I got to see this. There were a few Toxic Avenger movies too, if I remember right. Like I said, never checked it out. I was never I like horror. I was never into splatter kind of stuff, like gore fest stuff, which I guess Toxic Avenger isn't really that bad. But yeah, just never got around to seeing it. All right, moving right along. Tonight, we are going to unbox and take a first look at Congress of Vienna from my friends over at GMT Games. It's designed by Frank Espargo, I think is the pronunciation there. As I mentioned early in the show, it is actually built off of Mark Herman's Churchill design. The game is for 1 to 4 players, does include solitaire play. It's for ages 14 and up, plays in around 90 minutes to 6 hours, depending on the scenario you choose. This is available now. It does carry an MSRP of $85. All that said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Congress of Vienna. Let's get rid of the shrink wrap here. This is one of those big 3-inch boxes from GMT. And let's hope that the Panasonic autofocus wants to behave for us this evening. Let's take a look at the back. I'm not going to read everything off the back here, but Congress of Vienna is a diplomatic strategy card-driven game for 1 to 4 players based on Churchill, the superb award-winning Mark Herman design. COV is volume 4 in GMT's Great Statesmen series. It allows players to step into the role of the key antagonists involved in the titanic struggle between Napoleon's besieged empire and the coalition of Russia, Austria, and Great Britain and their supporting allies. Game begins after Napoleon's disastrous 1812 retreat from Moscow and covers the decisive years of 1813 and 1814. The strategic portion of the game, what was that? Oh, of the game board depicts an abstract theater encompassing Europe from the Iberian Peninsula to the boundaries of Poland and Prussia. Included are areas for the Italian front and the British-American War of 1812, created to be played as both a diplomatic and strategic military conflict. COV reproduces the spirit of Churchill in its components and mechanics while adding a hint of Groyard seasoning to capture the flavor of this era's greatest Napoleonic battles. Nice. Pete Streckwich says, oh, now they want to see that Peter Dinklage version. I know. It's like, trying to remember who else was in it. Who was the actor who played Spider-Man in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies? I always mix him up with Elijah Wood. I always get Elijah Wood, and actually, you know what? I think in the new Tobey Maguire. Yes, for whatever stupid reason, I always mix the two of them up. Elijah Wood is also in the new reboot of Toxic Avenger. And I saw a picture of him, and he looks almost like the Penguin when Danny DeVito played the Penguin. He looks really similar he looks really gross. So yes, Kevin Bacon is in it. That I was not aware of. But yes, Elijah Wood plays, I think he's like the owner. I would take a guess he's the owner of the toxic waste dump or whatever. All right, so we've got quick start rules, a playbook, rules of play. It looks like we've got some block label stickers, player aids. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to take a peek at the quick start rules. And this is just a summary here. COV simulates the end of the Napoleonic... Whoops. Let's get that centered up there. COV simulates the end of the Napoleonic Wars and the diplomacy and politics of that age from March 1813 to Napoleon's first abdication in April 1814. The entire campaign can be played in up to 10 turns. There are also shorter scenarios. So major powers: Austria, Britain, France, Russia. So do we have, wonder if we've got bots. So you have the other powers if you're playing, like, say, 2 players. It says, when there are less than 4 human players, 2 players can play the full game or shorter scenarios, with 1 player controlling the 3 allied powers and the other player controlling France. Also, a 3-player game is possible with the 3rd player controlling both Austria and Russia. Finally, you can play solitaire games as France, the Allies, or in a non-competitive mode by using the appropriate, there you go, bots included with the game. Nice. That's kind of wild, non-competitive. Talking about the game board, we've got a diplomacy section and military section. The different cards, there are 4 types of cards: initial situation, leader, game, and handicap cards. Our sequence of play: initial phase, diplomacy phase, government phase, war phase, and then the end of the turn. I'll take a guess this is probably going to be pretty light on images here, seeing that this is just a kind of a quick start. So probably not going to see examples of play. So we got our diplomacy phase, war phase, national advantages, battle DRMs, Mediterranean front. So we've got some tables in here. It's like we got some extra tables for different stuff. So I wonder if these are printed on our player aids. Maybe not. And issues, resolution, and effect. Cool. We'll put the playbook off to the side for a second. Jump on into the rules of play. This is where we'll start seeing all of our examples of play and things like that. Although I would think since we have a playbook, we've probably got a fairly detailed one. So tell you what I'm going to do here. I am going to lock in our focus. There we go. Seeing that most of what we're going to be looking at here is going to be pretty much in this range. I can always zoom in on the cards when we take a peek at those. So we've got our historical context, overview, our scenarios. So there are 5 scenarios. One is the full campaign, obviously. Napoleon Resurgent, Spring 1813, 2 to 4 turns. The Liberation War for Germany, also 1813, 8 turns. The Clash of Armies, 1813, 4 turns. Desperate Times, the French Campaign, 1814, an intense 3 turns. And then a full campaign, 10 turns with options for an 11th turn or a shorter 9-turn game. Sample of our components, our game board. I do believe the game board is pretty large. It might actually be in 2 parts because we do have 2 sides to it. We've got the diplomacy side and then the war side. So here we've got some examples of our cards. So these are leader cards, then game cards. Leaders of each major power with their abilities and potential penalties are represented by cards with a value from 5 to 7. Then we have game cards. There's a 66 card deck consisting of both character and event cards shared by all players. And these have a value of 2 to 5. And we have some issues. It says there are 30 diplomatic, military, and economic issues with corresponding markers. Talking about the setup for our campaign, our initial phase, our diplomacy phase, so I was going to say, there are various different issues that come into play, because I remember when we played Churchill, which is a really cool game. Don't bust Churchill out on people who want to, wrap up a game in 2 hours and rock out the door, because it ain't happening. But you actually tackle these different issues and you're trying to win on these issues. I thought that was pretty cool. It's been a long time since I played it, though. Our government phase. Looks like that's when we resolve our issues. So we're looking at some examples here. We've got Pax Britannica. It's a source of potential victory points solely for the British player. Its advances are represented in the game by a track like that of liberalism, absolutism, but one whose pawn only the British player can advance. And that's an example of it there. And I would think that our war phase is pretty abstract. So we got placement of military operations, placing military support, strategic movement, and resolving military operations battles. So here's an example of battle resolution, which is, once again, probably where you're going to take some of those numbered cards as far as totaling them up. It says the British Army of Portugal, 8 units in the Portugal space, faces France's Army of Spain, 7 units, defending the Lyon space. Calculate initial die roll modifiers. The French army has 7 units as its base force, so it places the blue DRM pawn on the +7 space of the blue battle DRM track. The French player has no more initial modifiers. British army has 8 units, 5 British, +2 Spanish, +1 Portuguese, so they place the red DRM pawn on its track's +8 space, and then adds +3 for Spanish guerrillas. Was that a card that they played, maybe? British player also receives another +3 DRM because they have a military support marker, which finally moves the pawn to the +14 Allied battle track space. Neither army withdraws, so then you play your military cards and calculate your final DRM. So both players secretly play military game cards from their respective hands and reveal these cards at the same time. Once cards are revealed, the French player must first decide use of their cards, battle DRM modifiers followed by the British player. Since this battle is fought in Allied homeland spaces, Spain and Portugal, the British player plays the Wellington and Castanos cards. The French plays the J. Bonaparte and military event number 65 cards. It's pretty wild. It's kind of cool. So then they apply their DRMs for the cards, and that's going to total them up to +12. The Allies get the +19. Then you roll your dice. 2d6. And then you add it to your DRMs. So it says the French player got a lackluster roll of 7. Blue pawn is moved to the French track's +19. The British player rolls a terrible 3, but the Wellington card has a special tactical ability. You choose between 2d6 rolls. Thereby obtaining a more successful result of 10. So it's +29. And you're going to look at looks like you're going to cross-reference those so you can remove combat losses. And then if it's a major battle, there's victory points involved. Huh. Nice. W. Forge says, just give me Stratego. You'd be kind of surprised at how complex a game can be, and you can still pick it up pretty well. Once you get a few turns of a lot of these sorts of games under your belt, then you're good to go. Flamin' RX says you could replay Jeff reading the rules for ASMR, white noise relaxation before bedtime. Okay, so this is why I point out that you can tackle some fairly complex games from GMT because of the playbooks. So here we're going to get a detailed example of play. Looks like it's going to clock in at 17 pages. And this is going to walk you through the game itself. And I say it all the time whenever I'm covering GMT games and the title has a playbook. I read these first. this is the first thing that I read in any GMT game box, because even if I don't understand certain aspects of what's going on in the example of play, I'm getting a feel for how the game turns progress. So as you can see, a lot of detail there. Then we've got our scenarios. I'm going to take a guess that we're also going to see some game designer notes. So here we've got solitaire 2 and 3 player games, an introductory solitaire scenario. That's another good way to learn some of the more complex games that are out there. If they do offer any sort of solitaire play, then by all means, you jump on into that. So here's our rules for solitaire French play. Rules for human player versus the French bot. I've got to say that over the past 10 years or so, we have really seen a push towards including solitaire play in a lot of board games. Not something that we saw too much of before, but I honestly think that COVID had a little bit to do with it. But even prior to COVID, there was a real shift towards solitaire play with board games and role-playing games. So there is our playbook. And yes, we did have some designer notes in there. So here we've got our stickers. So we must have a few blocks there. Got our player aids. I guess we've got 4 of these. Yes, we do. And they are dual-sided. So we've got our sequence of play, then a breakdown of each of those phases. Victory point summary. So these are our tables. National advantages, battle DRMs, War of 1812. So in that quick start, we did have the A, I know that. So we got 4 of those. We've got our allied bot. And then we've got our French bot walking you through the different phases. Almost like a flow chart. All right, so we've got those, and then we have a single counter sheet, a punch board, if you want me to refer to it that way. So we've got that. I would think we might have one more of these because I thought I saw the different units. But maybe that's on the board. Maybe you track that on the board. That is a possibility because it looks like a lot of this is informational. We do have, looks like, some tactics here. All right, so then we've got the board. It's going to be pretty big, and it is 1 piece. I'd say that's a pretty large pawn right here. Jeez. So those are the blocks that we put those stickers on. We've got some cylinders, got some smaller pawns. We've got this big gold chess piece, essentially. Got 8 six-sided dice here. 2 in the colors of the combatants. Get a bunch of cubes. Also looking like in the colors of the combatants and more. It's like we've got some small cylinders in there. A couple of decks of cards, which we already know there's 4 decks of cards. So we will take a peek at these last. Let's take a look at this game board. I'm actually going to put this stuff back into the box right now. That's good enough. Good enough. It looks like we're going to need all the space we can get for this board. Just moving some of this stuff, clearing it out. Okay. So, how many panels we got? 4 across? Yes. Okay. So it looks like we've got 4 panels across. So we'll take a look here. Let's pull back out a little bit. See if we can give you a better look. That's fairly decent. Okay, so this side here is our diplomacy side. So here's our negotiation table. We've got our different factions here. Got a bunch of different boxes for different events, it looks like. Diplomacy round tracks. French force pool, Austrian force pool, British force pool, and Russian force pool down there. All right. And then this here, I'm actually going to turn it this way. We have got the war side of things. I guess you're looking at using cubes to represent the armies. Could be. But it is showing, I would take a guess, who possesses that area when the game begins. And then we also have our Battle DRMs track. Goes all the way up to 42. Jeez. Pretty wild. Our end of turn victory point table here. Here's our War of 1812 box. That's cool. All right. And then we're going to zoom back in so we can take a look at the cards. Okay. So this has our initial situation cards, maybe our leaders too. Nice card stock. That game board was nice and solid too. Okay, so we've got handicap cards. Then it looks like these are our leader cards. And then this should all be the game cards, I would think. And of course, we're not going to look at all the cards here, but just give you an idea of what we're looking at. Okay. Initial situation cards. So this is 1813. So I'm going to guess that we seed the deck, or we play this deck in order, because I do see we've got the letter and number here. So it's possible that we are going to play through these in the order. Although that would be kind of weird, because then I would think that would cut down a little bit on replayability. So as an example, we've got 1814 March, April. So Russian final push. Austria tries to negotiate. Offensive in France. And France is fed up with war. There you go. Well, but then we have We go back to 1813 with these C cards. I am intrigued. W. Ford says games with punch boards should come with little bags to store the counters in. There are a ton of baggies in the box. It's a GMT thing. They always give you loads and loads of baggies. We've got our handicap cards. Place a minor country issue marker, your choice, at a distance of 2 on your national track. Place the liberalism, absolutism issue marker at a distance of 2 on your national track. Randomly draw 2 additional game cards from the deck. Add them to your hand. This turn, regardless of the player who won an additional game card, is indicated by the initial environment table. You may select 1 national game card from the draw deck to add to your hand. All right, so those are the handicaps. Here are our leaders. Let's take a look. Here's Napoleon. If the Grand Army is in Paris, place the birth year card in the French hand each turn. I think it's Berthier. So we have -3 for minor country issue. So I guess you play your leader for various different things. Okay. But maybe you can only use it once per turn. That would be my guess. All right. Final thing we're going to look at is some of these game cards. Andrew Jackson. There you go. No flavor text, surprisingly enough. At least not with these individuals we're seeing here. There's Wellington. Duke of York. Tecumseh. Von Scharnhorst. Von Bülow. Where's Blucher? You know, I have to say, I used to watch the film Waterloo quite often. And I know critics didn't care for it. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was all right. All right, just kind of taking a peek through this. So some of these are available basically to play for anybody, as we see here. But even like Andrew Jackson, I think they're indicating who this favors. I think that's what that up in the corner is, like Duke of York, right? So if you were another faction other than the British, I guess all this card is really good for is 3. So it looks like the highest value we have here is 5. I believe so. All right. So that is a peek at the various different game cards. And that is a first look at Congress of Vienna from our friends over at GMT Games. Maybe I can get this to the table. I don't know. I really don't. It's gotten so difficult to just even get reviews out there of regular board games as opposed to like war games and stuff. But this looks really interesting. I'll try to maybe dive in and check out some of the solitaire play. Maybe share a review of it as far as a solitaire game. Pretty nice. But once again, that is Congress of Vienna from GMT Games for 1 to 4 players, including solitaire play for ages 14 and up. Plays around 90 minutes to 6 hours, depending on your scenario. It is available now. It carries an MSRP of $85. And as I point out all the time, whenever we're talking about GMT Games releases, if you're intrigued by this, grab it now because the print runs are small and you do not want to try to search out of print GMT games on the secondary market. Your wallet, your pocketbook will not appreciate it. Otherwise, you usually have to wait 2 or 3 years for another print run too. So there's that. W. Ford says they used to sometimes sing Waterloo by ABBA. Okay, all right. You say so. All right, that's it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, oh, wait a second. Got to fix this. Anyway, if you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watch live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you. Because not only were you keeping me company, you were keeping each other company too. And of course, I know a lot of folks don't have an opportunity to watch live. It doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very kindly for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,100 videos here on the channel. Tomorrow, we are going to dive on in and take a peek inside Tales of Argosa from Pickpocket Press. So stay tuned for that. This is essentially low fantasy 2nd edition. Pretty sweet. This looks pretty cool. So we will dive on in, take a peek at that on tomorrow's show. All right, now I can say if you like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It will not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. Also let you know when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Gods of the Forbidden North, Volume 2 from Pulp Hummock Press. Yes. Pretty wild. Pretty hefty. Over 500 pages here. And I liked it quite a lot. All right, that is it for this time out. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And until I see you next time, which I hope is tomorrow, I certainly hope all of you always get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.